What does healthy food mean to you? Personally, when I think about it, I think about like low calorie salads, things that I see online where they're like, hey, you want to eat something healthy? Eat this like dish that looks kind of boring. But I asked all of you what your favorite healthy dishes are, and I got 5 dishes from 5 countries that totally surprised me. So let's get started.
Hiya. My name is Isaac and I live in Peterborough in the United Kingdom, though I am originally from the American Midwest. The dish I want to talk to you about today is called Letní Borshch, also known as summer borscht. My family is Ukrainian on my dad's side. My grandparents immigrated to the United States in the 1940s in the aftermath of World War II. While I didn't grow up eating a lot of traditional Ukrainian food, part of what makes this dish special to me is that it was my entry point into learning how to make Ukrainian food for myself as an adult.
When I make dishes with beets, I usually buy them pre-cooked because cooking them in the oven takes like 40 minutes and I do not have the patience for that. Also, it's a really messy job and usually you grate them and I don't have gloves, so there's that issue. I'm gonna try using this blender, which has a grating setting on it. I've never done it before, but I'm just trying to avoid having my hands be stained for the next week. So come on. I hope this works. I just kissed my blender. I don't know why I did that. Come on, baby, you can do it. Also just realized I'm wearing this like pretty white floral shirt and I do not want to get it ruined, so apron time. Also, don't forget all the recipes are on my website, beryl.nyc. Okay, let's grind some beets. These kitchen shears are a joke. I've tried to sharpen them on my own, but they literally don't cut. I don't understand what I'm doing, what's wrong with them. I guess just over time, I just need to buy new kitchen shears. I don't know why I'm not doing that. All right, I'm getting a knife.
As far as borscht goes, anyone who has family from Eastern Europe or comes from Eastern Europe themselves is familiar with this idea of borscht.
I sliced it the wrong way. I was supposed to turn it around the other way. So now I have perfectly sliced beets, not grated beets. I might just end up having to cut them myself anyway. Oh. Have to laugh. We have to have a laugh. That one worked.
You expect a beet-based soup which features root vegetables, some sort of cooked meat, maybe leeks, maybe onions, definitely dill and sour cream. And it's a lovely soup, but it can be quite warm and quite filling and sort of weigh you down in the wintertime.
The stock was pretty brown and I'm nervous that the beets are not going to turn it that beautiful pink color that we're looking for. You guys saw me, I did the beets. I'm using the right amount of everything and vegetable stock just has that brownish color. You saw, right? Like, I don't know. I just hope it works. I want that pink color. I love the pink color with borscht. Oof.
Therefore, we have summer borscht, which has been around for ages in Ukraine as well as the rest of Eastern Europe. What makes it different is, for one thing, it is put directly into the fridge once you build the soup base and you leave it overnight to get it nice and cold.
Yes, beets, you never let me down.
Additionally, it is much heavier on the veg than your regular run-of-the-mill borscht, and normally we might not include meat whatsoever, making it vegetarian friendly. When you take that first bite of summer borscht, you're going to first be struck by that nice, rich, earthy beet flavor. But then you're also going to find that you have a really balanced broth, which is composed of veggie stock, lemon juice, sugar, maybe some salt, and definitely some bay leaves to add that character to it.
Once again, I'm cutting dill. The glitter of the herbs. It's gonna get everywhere. It's already getting everywhere. Here we go.
You'll also get bites of nice, soft, cooked potato and boiled carrot as well. But then what makes it special is that you can customize it to your tastes. Normally when I make Letní Borshch for myself, I'll include things like sliced cucumber, radish, boiled egg. If I'm feeling fancy, I might include pieces of ham or some pan-fried tofu. And then definitely you can't have summer borscht without a creamy element. While it's traditional to use sour cream or smetana in Ukrainian, What I like to do sometimes is I'll throw in some Greek yogurt for protein, or I'll throw in some kefir, which is good for probiotics and helps your gut health. I feel like people should try this dish because it is easy to prepare, it is easy to customize, and therefore it kind of makes it foolproof. I hope you enjoy. Or as we say in Ukrainian, smacznego.
I have had borscht many times when I lived in Russia. This was a staple of my diet. I have never made it myself, however. Nice and cold. Not spending your time cooking the beets is definitely the way to go. And if you have a food processor with the grinder function, that is the other way to go. God, it was so much easier than hand grating them.
Ooh.
Borscht has a really earthy flavor that comes from the beets, so when you eat it, it feels like vegetables. Also, I did use vegetable broth, but you really are tasting the beets when you have your first bite of this. The color is just vibrant and beautiful. I was definitely worried that because of the brown color of the vegetable broth that I wasn't gonna get that beautiful red color, but the beets won out. They are stronger than brown. I didn't have faith. Ye, myself, had little faith. But she's a pink soup. Adding sugar to the borscht is something that we didn't really do in Russia. I think that's a Ukrainian thing, and it gives it just a little bit of sweetness, which balances out, I think, that earthy flavor from the beets. What Isaac said about what healthy food is something I totally relate to. I like that this dish is just vegetables, and I know exactly what went into it. It's simple, but it tastes way bigger than the sum of its parts. You're not missing out on anything, and you're not just eating a salad. Before we get to the next dish, I'm gonna play a little bit of Cookie Jam, one of my new favorite games, who is the sponsor of today's episode. Cookie Jam is a match 3 game that you can play either on your phone or on your tablet. You have to match 3 candies and cookies to clear the board and solve the puzzle. I love the graphics in the game, and the candies and cookies are super fun to match, and when they burst because you get it, it's very satisfying. Boom! If you're stuck at a tricky level, there are boosters and different combos that will help you win, and my favorite is when you power up the dog in the bottom of the screen and he goes on and gives you a little extra help. It's the kind of game that's easy to play, super fun to win, and there are no ads, which makes it honestly 10 times better. For me, playing games on my phone is a great way to pass the time when I'm waiting, for example, a dish to cook. Alexa, set a timer for 12 minutes, or if I need a little time to relax. And Cookie Jam is a game that I would definitely recommend. Yes. That was a good one. You can download Cookie Jam for free by clicking the link in my description or scanning the QR code that's on screen. It's a fun game. I definitely recommend you do it.
Hi Beryl. Hi everyone. I'm Ayca. I'm originally from Turkey, but I live in Germany since the last 6 years. I chose Kisir, Bulgur salad in English, as a healthy meal because it is easy to make and you can adjust it anytime to make it even healthier. Kisir is a simple mixture of bulgur, fresh herbs, onion, tomato and red pepper paste, pomegranate molasses, olive oil, lemon juice and spices. Other than you can add any other fresh vegetable to your taste. That's why every family in Turkey has its own recipe, and I love to discover a different version of it when I visit my friends. I love this dish because it's fresh, tangy, savory, bursting with flavor, and it's easy to make. We make it Sunday afternoons with my family when we don't feel like cooking something tiring, especially in these hot summer days.
Sometimes I feel like Vanna White when I'm holding these. So the specialty ingredient that we're using now is red pepper paste. I found this at a Middle Eastern grocery store. It kind of tastes, ooh, no, it kind of smells like tomato paste. Ooh, this one's got some kick to it, which I like. It tastes different though. It doesn't taste like tomato paste. It has a peppery taste. I guess because it's pepper paste. Pepper paste, pepper taste.
I think every Turkish family cooks this dish at home, especially when women get together in one of their houses for tea time. It is the staple food on their plates. You cannot imagine in Turkey a women's gathering without this dish.
One of the things that I'm loving about the show at this point in time is that I tend to have almost all the ingredients that I need. Maybe there'll be like one or two specialty things, but like for this dish, the only thing I needed was the red pepper paste. I had pomegranate molasses, I had bulgur, I have sumac, I have all the spices, and I was just like, look at me, I have everything I need to just whip up a Turkish dish, except for the red pepper paste, but you know, like, that was pretty cool. My pantry is insane though. Like, you don't want to see it. Or maybe you do, let me know.
For me, a healthy food should be fresh, but still tasty. I don't go for low-calorie food, but fulfilling, bursting with flavor food like kisir.
That was a measure with your heart moment. I put in around 1/8 of a teaspoon for each of these, so I'm gonna have to come back and check on the spices because sometimes measuring with your heart is hard when you're doing a Turkish dish and you're a girl from New York City. You know, it's my first time, so we'll see what happens.
Every time I eat kisir, I feel happy. It reminds me our Sunday afternoons with my family, and it takes away my homesickness a bit. I think everyone would like this dish because there is a version for everyone.
Look how professional this looks. Fresh lemon, I'm like the bear.
Hope you like it. Enjoy. Bye.
One of the things that I love about the Mediterranean diet is how like whole the ingredients are and how fresh everything tastes. We don't eat a lot of bulgur in the US, so I haven't had much bulgur before. Mmm. That tastes amazing. Wow. You can really taste the herbs coming through. The pomegranate molasses gives it a bit of a sour, sweet taste to it. I love it. There's a lot of herbs, so I feel like my teeth are just covered in parsley and dill right now. Let me just do a quick cleanup. I like how refreshing this is. It definitely tastes like a summertime dish. I also think if you added some chickpeas to that to give it a little bit of protein, it would be a complete meal. Pomegranate molasses is something I would recommend investing in. It is such a delicious, delicious, like, condiment, I guess, a sauce. I've used it in a lot of recipes, and the red pepper paste, I think you could get away without it. I think the tomato paste does a lot of work, and the red pepper paste, obviously it's gonna add a complexity of flavor, but since it could be difficult to find, I do think if you had the pomegranate molasses, you could just get away with that as the recipe. I totally get why Ayca submitted this as a healthy meal. It is a celebration of ingredients. It is refreshing. It's nutritious. It's a beautiful dish.
Hi Beryl and friends, my name is Trisha and I live in Asheville, North Carolina in America. The healthy dish that I would like to share with you today is a creamy tofu sauce with pasta and vegetables. This sauce is essentially made by blending tofu with whatever your preferred flavors and ingredients are. I love to incorporate lots of garlic and nutritional yeast to make it extra rich and creamy. I like this dish because it is accessible, has easy to find ingredients, is quick and easy to make, and tastes much more indulgent than it actually is. It tastes almost like a bechamel or an Alfredo sauce. You can take this base recipe though and pivot to whatever ingredients you have on hand or whatever you're craving at the time.
Sometimes the smell of cooking garlic and onions reminds me of back when I was in college Beryl, and we would have house parties at my house, and afterwards the next morning when it was kind of like stinky and smelled like old beer, I used to roast heads of garlic in the oven to make the house smell nicer, and all my boy roommates thought that I was weird, but nobody thought the house didn't smell good. I hope you like the photo of me from college. I was cool.
So the base is basically a canvas and the ingredients are your paints. I like it with a lentil or chickpea pasta for added protein. I do not think this is a very common dish to make a tofu sauce. Maybe more so in the plant-based community. I'm sure a lot of those folks have their own versions.
So this brand of nutritional yeast, which is something that I used to be really into when I was younger, I've kind of strayed away from it. It's got like a cheesy flavor. Anyway, this brand is made by Bragg, and there was a slight takedown through my favorite podcast, Maintenance Phase, about Bragg himself, and I will leave a link to it in the description. If you're into the health food world, this is a really crazy, crazy story that I would highly recommend you listen to. Also, FYI, Leia likes to put nutritional yeast on her popcorn. So if you're wondering what else to do with it other than use it in sauces, popcorn toppings. Cool episode.
Ooh,
popcorn toppings. Mmm. It's cool that yeast can do this. Look.
Oh my god, it totally smells like Cheetos.
Right?
This does take an ingredient from a different culture and transform it in a very non-traditional way. And I think that's a very American thing to do.
It tastes a little bland. I'm adding some garlic powder and some onion powder, and I think I'm gonna add just a little bit of heat to this.
I'm so grateful that we have so many cultures and immigrants in America.
All right, let's try some lemon.
And get to enjoy the foods from those cultures. It's such a privilege to be able to take these ingredients and transform them and adapt them into my personal life. I do not take that for granted. This dish makes me feel full in the best way. I feel completely satisfied, but I'm not left feeling tired or like I need to take a nap. People should make this dish because it's unexpectedly creamy, adaptable, easy, affordable, and so delicious. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks, bye.
I think this dish is interesting. It hits quite a few of those diets that people have to follow of gluten-free or being vegan. I've never had chickpea pasta before. I've never had a tofu sauce like this before. So let's just see what the hubbub is about. This to me tastes healthy. While I put a lot of stuff in the tofu sauce, it still doesn't have a ton of flavor, which is what I'm looking for. I want it to be thicker and creamier and really pack a punch. The chickpea pasta is interesting. It's got a very al dente feeling to it. It doesn't taste any different than normal pasta, but the texture of it is different. While I might not be the biggest fan of chickpea pasta, powered by chickpeas, it is a great alternative if you can't have typical pasta, if you need to eat gluten-free, and it does have a lot of protein. Like this meal has a lot of protein in it. Between the nutritional yeast, the tofu, and the pasta, I think we're at 20 plus grams of protein in this one bowl of pasta. It sounds creamy. That's like pasta ASMR, right? Could you hear it?
Yeah.
I like this because the use of tofu is very unexpected for me. I'm definitely curious to see what other tofu types of sauces I can make. I also like that this covers a wide range of diets. It was simple to make, and you can add in whatever you want to make it your own. You can make it spicier like I did, add different vegetables. It's very customizable, and it's a nice pasta dinner, and everyone kind of loves a pasta dinner, right?
Hi everyone, my name is Adam. I'm Lebanese. My family is originally from the mountains of Lebanon, but I also reside in the capital city of Beirut. So I'm constantly moving around between the city and my hometown. When I learned of the topic of this episode, I was very excited because I thought of all the healthy Lebanese dishes, and I was like, I have to share one of them. So we have a lot of really healthy dishes such as mshaddara, Sanieh Batata, and many others. And in particular, one of my favorites, and the one I chose for this video today, is pumpkin kibbeh. For those of you who are not familiar with kibbeh, it's actually the national dish of Lebanon, and it has many different versions. So the most common ones are meat-based, like kibbeh ras, which are like croquettes. They are deep fried and made with an outer shell of a meat and bulgur dough, and a filling of minced meat, onions, pine nuts or sometimes walnuts, and many spices and herbs. But I don't think these are the healthiest, and they are a bit hard to make because their shape is not like a typical croquette. It's more oval with pointy edges. So I think the healthier alternative is Kibbeh Sanieh, which takes the same ingredients but puts them in a casserole with 2 layers of the meat dough and the filling in between. This is then baked in the oven with ghee on top.
I get a lot of questions for a kitchen tour, but my kitchen is not organized at all, and I think people would be sorely disappointed to see what a mess it is. But if you are interested in seeing what's inside all of that, I'm willing to humble myself, so just let me know in the comments. It would be embarrassing though.
Pumpkin kibbeh is a type of kibbeh in which the meat dough is swapped for a pumpkin and bulgur dough, sometimes with added potatoes. I
used my ricer once to make this German ice cream dish that looks like spaghetti and sauce, where you put vanilla ice cream in the ricer and it comes out like looking like spaghetti, and then you put like a jam on top of the ice cream. First of all, it tasted delicious, and second of all, it was super fun to make. So I messed up a little bit. I misunderstood the recipe and I soaked the bulgur like I did for the Turkish recipe, but actually I just need to let it soak with the pumpkin puree. So I'm gonna redo it. I'm just gonna make more bulgur salad because I liked it so much. So whoopsies.
As for the filling, it can be also the meat, the minced meat filling, which is typically what my mom makes the most. But it can also be a potato and meat confit filling, or a vegetarian option with spinach, chickpea, and caramelized onion filling. This last one is typically made in the Christian Lent season while prepared vegan. Both meat and pumpkin kibbeh are often served with a side salad, which can be a simple Middle Eastern salad made with cucumbers and tomatoes, or cabbage and tomato. Sometimes people eat it with laban وخيار, which is a yogurt and cucumber with dried mint. I love this dish because of how tasty and balanced it is. When I first learned about it, I was a bit surprised to learn that pumpkin is used in this way, but I think it complements the dish and fits it perfectly. Sometimes it adds a hint of sweetness, which I love and which you wouldn't get from normal meat-based kibbeh. As someone who struggles to maintain a stable diet due to commuting between my hometown and the city, what I look for most in my meals is balance. So for me, a healthy meal is really just a balanced meal. And I think pumpkin kibbeh is a perfect example of that.
I'm feeling really stressed right now. I feel like this dish is difficult to make because there's so many elements, and I'm just a little stressed that I'm gonna mess this one up. But that's a part of the process, messing up, and that's okay. But I don't like doing that.
Pumpkin is low in calories and rich in fiber. So I think overall this dish has a lot of vitamins, it has fiber, we have the protein from the meat, we have the vegetables, we have the carbs from the bulgur, optionally the potato or the bread if you choose to eat it with bread. So overall it's a very balanced meal. I truly have a guilt-free experience eating this dish. It is balanced and not high in carbs, as I typically eat it without bread, but it is still filling. And the salad cuts through the richness of the meat and the bulgur, making the dish light. I highly recommend you try this dish, first because of how tasty it is, and second because it's a great representation of the rich and balanced Levantine cuisine, but at the same time it's not very well known and talked about compared to other dishes such as tabbouleh, hummus, or even meat kibbeh.
I don't know if I've done this dish justice. It was very difficult for me to make. But, you know, oh, I have yogurt too. It tastes good. The bulgur is soft. There's a crunchiness on the top from searing it, which we did in my oven. I don't think that I made enough filling. I think I'm tasting mostly bulgur. Let me get the middle, because it looks like there's more filling in the middle than the edge. The filling is really good. You can taste all the spices that went into it, and there were a lot of spices that went into this. So much going in. Cooking with the pumpkin was really interesting. You can make this with a fresh pumpkin, but you can also just buy pumpkin puree and make your life 10 times easier, which is what I opted to do. I like this. I feel like you definitely need to eat it with yogurt. It's a little bit dry on its own, or at least my version is a little bit dry. There were a lot of steps to make this dish. It took Leia and I around 2 hours and change to make. So it definitely was not an easy dish. Like, it does smell good. It just, I'm worried that it's not gonna come out and that I'm doing this wrong. I see how this could be a healthy dish because I've seen versions of this online when I was researching that are deep fried. This one is baked. The bulgur has fiber in it. There's healthy fats from the olive oil. The meat has protein. You've got all the different things that you want coming together to make a complete meal. And all the ingredients are whole ingredients, so you're not using anything that's processed. I'm proud of myself for making this. It was something that definitely threw me out of my comfort zone, but ultimately I feel like I mostly succeeded, and that's making me feel good.
Hi Beryl, hi everyone. My name is Shreya and I currently live in the Netherlands. However, I'm from the south of India, Bangalore to be specific. The dish I'd like to share with everyone today is Omam Pota Kuzhambu. Omam translates to carom seeds or bishop's weed, and Kuzhambu refers to a luscious, yogurty, beautifully seasoned and spiced curry that is endemic in the south of India.
I've never had coconut yogurt before. It smells like dairy yogurt. I don't really taste coconut. Actually, yes I do. It's very light though. It's not as coconut heavy as I thought it would be. It's really creamy though. I like it.
Omam Pota Kuzhambu is not a very common dish. It really comes from a very specific subset of families that have preserved this particular curry, and we usually eat it with a steaming cup of hot white rice. Omam Pota Kuzhambu is a really specific childhood memory for me. We would sit around the table on a Saturday afternoon and eat Omam Pota Kuzhambu and talk about some of my favorite books as a family. As I grew up, I realized that I would like to become a vegan, and so did my parents as well as my partner. And we all transitioned into being vegan and then adapted the recipe in order for it to fit better with our changing dietary preferences. I love Omam Pota Kuzhambu mainly because of how healthy it is as well. It is a strong probiotic dish that will definitely improve your gut health. I always feel really content and happy after eating an Omam Pota Kuzhambu. I think people should try it because it's a really surprising dish from India that I think is a unique and interesting flavor that maybe people might not have been able to access so far. Thank you so much. Bye.
I've made something similar to this in my yogurt episode, so I'm interested to see this variation. Thickening yogurt like this and eating it with rice is just heavenly. We tempered a lot of seeds to this, so even though it was just yogurt, there is so much flavor going on here. Caraway seeds are not my favorite seeds, and I feel like if I was to make this again, I would definitely go lighter on the caraway seeds, maybe a little heavier on the fenugreek seeds because I love that flavor. There's a whole sprig of curry leaves in here, which makes me very happy because curry leaves are one of my favorite leaves to eat. I mean, is that like a weird, my favorite leaf? They just have such great flavor. This is super creamy, almost indulgent because of how creamy it feels. And I don't taste coconut at all, like not even a little bit, but you could obviously make this with normal dairy yogurt because that's how this is traditionally supposed to be made. We just did the vegan version of it. Shreya is right when she said yogurts like this are full of gut healthy bacteria, so eating a bowl of yogurt like this, good for your tummy. I think for some people it might be surprising to just eat yogurt and rice like this as a meal. The rice fills you up. This is something that is just like, it's a home style dish. You're not gonna find something like this in a restaurant. The tempering of the spices can be a little bit difficult, but other than that, it's a really easy thing to make. You need to have a lot of ingredients, you know. Luckily for me, I had everything I needed at home except for the coconut yogurt. I did have normal yogurt, but this one I was able to whip up out of my pantry again. My pantry strikes again. Yeah, just yum. I love it. Thanks again to Cookie Jam for sponsoring today's episode, and don't forget to download the game using the link in my description or scanning the QR code on screen. I hope you found some inspiration about some new healthy dishes around the world to try that aren't just salads Until next week, I'm gonna leave you with our salad episode because if you are someone who wants a salad, I've got some pretty interesting ones in this one. And I'm gonna leave you with a mango episode because it's summertime right now and it's mango season. Don't forget to like and subscribe, it helps support the channel, and go to my website beryl.nyc in the description for all of the recipes for everything that you saw here today. I will see you all next week.